Oh, hey, didn't see you come in. The name's Nathan. Nathan Mowery from Kind Punk, and you're watching Good Company with Bowling.
Good company!
Hey guys, my name's Scott Bowling, and you're watching Good Company. Today we have the man, Nathan Mowery. Nathan films this show, and he's here today, man. He's got music videos, documentaries, and thank you for being here, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. It's super weird being on the other side of the camera right now.
It's super weird interviewing you right now.
I know, it's
dude.
super surreal. Are we just going to talk
Go
about
to work,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Who's holding the camera
Yeah,
right now?
Taylor's
dude?
like running the camera now, so I'm just like watching that and everything. This is
But dude,
exciting.
all seriously, man, like I love what you've done, like Fozzy videos, like the video that's playing right now, millions of views. How did you hook up with Fozzy, first of all, like with Chris Jericho and Rich Ward and all those guys?
Yeah, man. So I work with Diamond Dallas Page at DDP Yoga. So he has a production studio there as well as like a fitness center for his like exercise program, DDPY. And so he knows that I do a lot of like music video stuff, and it's something that I was trying to break more into in early 2017. And Jericho came in to do like a photo shoot for Fozzy to promote their upcoming like album and everything. And while I was there, Jericho was looking around like, oh, this would be a really cool place to shoot like a music video. And then Dallas was like, oh, well, Nathan, he directs music videos. And he's just like, oh, really? That's interesting. Well, let me get your number. And I was like freaking out because
Yeah,
it's like
you're
it's
a
like,
huge wrestling fan.
Because I'm a huge wrestling
Yeah.
fan, obviously. We had this bet before we even started the show. How long will it be before I bring up pro wrestling in this interview? And I think we've already been 30 seconds into this interview without me bringing it up. But yeah, so I was just like, oh my God, like Chris Jericho wants my number. It was just like a hot girl asking me for my number. So you know what I mean? So it was really cool. And then we kind of like had some ideas for the Judas video, and then we ended up shooting it in May of 2017. And it was funny. We did the whole video, and I remember when it was done, I had it edited and sent to Jericho before he even like left DDP Yoga. He was just like, hey man, whenever you get a cut, no rush. It's like, oh, it's done. I already texted to you. And he's like, hadn't even left. He's like, what? Then he sees it, and he just loved it. And he was like, this is like the best video we've ever done. And that's like huge honor for me. And ever since Judas like came out and it became like a very successful video, people like have been reaching out to me all the time, just like, oh, you're the guy, you're Fozzy guy?
Fozzy guy,
yeah, will you do my video and everything?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just super awesome.
How did you get to DDP Yoga? Like, how did you get that job?
So I moved to Atlanta when I was 19 to pursue filmmaking, and I had a friend, her name was Neely, and she worked for DDP Yoga. Found it through a Craigslist ad and was there for a while. And so she hit me up one day and was just like, hey, do you still do filmmaking, and are you still a wrestling fan? And I was like, oh yeah, absolutely. And at that point, I was like struggling to like make things work. Just like I just remember I was like arguing with this guy to give me $50, like, because it's the only income I had was this $150 for, like, I somehow make $50 last that month. Like I was like barely like
long
getting
ago was
food.
this? I mean,
this was 2013.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, so I was like definitely going through the whole starving artist phase for sure. And so I ended up going and meeting Dallas and everybody, and they gave me an interview. And this was right when Jake the Snake Roberts and Scott Hall moved into the house because Dallas wanted to help
When they were
them.
doing the documentary?
Yeah, when we were doing the resurrection of Jake the Snake, and that was basically the journey of both Jake Roberts and Scott Hall getting sober. And so I was there to kind of document it and also kind of promote his DDPY program. So just a little bit of both, and it was just an insane time.
Yeah, and that's crazy. So you got to witness like that whole documentary. Were you involved with that documentary, or you were just coming in while it was being filmed?
So I was there to kind of film like and kind of help edit like all these kind of things. So
Yeah.
like it was weird. Like we always have this rule of just like always have the cameras ready and going because you never know. Like with this kind of like environment, what's going to break out, what's going to happen. So when in the morning I'd walk in, set up a camera, we'd be like editing, and then Dallas would be like, there'd be an argument like downstairs happening, and I just grab the camera, I just run downstairs. And if you watch the movie, like there's a lot of times where the white balance and stuff is off, and it's not the prettiest looking thing because it wasn't like set up or anything. There wasn't a plan. It was just like, hey, hit record or we're not going to get this moment kind of thing. So it was, and especially with the nature and the danger of like addiction and everything, it was kind of like the first time I really ever experienced that to its full effect. And watching people who I grew up with, like almost idolizing, having their action figures and stuff, and watching them go through this very, very dark beast of addiction and try to get through that and get sober was just an crazy experience.
Yeah, dude, that kind of reminds me of like Intervention, like when they film all that stuff. It must be crazy just to witness all that and be filming it.
It is, and like it's weird because me having like this background like documentary, like I'm also someone I care about people like a lot. So like it sucks when I see someone that's like having one of the darkest moments of their life, and I have to just point a camera in their face and not comfort them. I just have to be like, so how you feel, you know?
Right.
So it's always like a really weird kind of thing.
Were you doing music? You do a lot of music videos. Were you doing music videos before DDP and all that stuff, or was this afterwards?
A little bit. Like it wasn't like a lot. I probably had one music video under my belt before I actually started working with DDP, and then I kind of wanted to venture out and kind of do that more. So yeah, and then probably in 2014 I started doing. I think I did one in 2014 and two in 2015 and maybe two in 2016.
How we met is kind of interesting. I was going to interview Mikey from Islander. And you showed up, and you can tell the story, but you were the security. So
yeah, like, it was funny just because like
Mikey, you want to come to my basement? Well,
that's kind of how it was.
Creepy.
Yeah, like so I'm really good friends with Mikey from Islander, and so I did like 2 of their videos, I guess at that time. I think I've done like 5 or 6 at this point. Like I've done a lot. Yeah. And so he was just like, hey man, he's like, I'm doing this interview with this guy named Scott Bowling, and it's going to be in his basement. It's like way up north, and he's like paying me to do this whole interview. Like, do you want to like come along? He's like, my wife won't let me go unless you like kind of come with me. I was just like, sure, I ain't got nothing else going on. So yeah, and we came down, and we're just like, man, this is a really nice guy in a really cool place. And like we were just worried, just like, this is almost too nice. He's definitely a serial killer. So, but no, yeah, it just then like everything just kind of happened, and here we are. And then I ended up directing like the whole show and everything. So we ended up being buddies.
Definitely, and I do want to talk about more of that later. And when you worked at DDP, when did you start be like, okay, I want to do music videos now as like a thing, right? Because you've done Fozzy and Islander. When did you start doing that after DDP Yoga?
Yeah, I think it was like in 2016 where I was just like, I wanted to, because Dallas, like DDP, he's such a believer in like write your goals down and like chase your dreams and like be relentless about it. And like for me, I was just like, well, I've always wanted to do music videos, but I never really figured out how to do that. And so Dallas really encouraged me to kind of pursue that. And I ended up meeting like I said, Mikey, and then doing a couple of Islander videos. And then I did some, there's this guy named Chris Stalkup, and he has a band called Chris Stalkup in the Grange. And I told him, I was like, hey, I'll do a music video for every song on your album for like a really cheap price, because I just want to prove to people that I can, that I can do music videos. And he was down, and so we just kept banging out these music videos, and I was just like putting my all into it and everything.
Wow. And are you editing all this yourself?
Yeah, so it was just me, a camera, and just whatever.
How did you hook up with Mikey, man?
There was this lady named Cindy Blankenship, and she's like, her whole thing is like the mothership. She takes care of a lot of like bands that kind of come through, and so she's very, very helpful. And she was just like, oh, Nathan, you'll get along with Mikey. He's like into punk rock, and he's into like pro wrestling, so you guys will just like hit it off. So she hit me up, and they did a show at Swayze's in Marietta, and then so I went, and they put me on the list, and then I met Mikey, and we were just instantly best friends. So,
that's so cool.
Yeah,
dude.
and so we hit it off really well, and so just being involved with him, like it's almost like he's like my manager. I know you've even said that too.
Yeah,
he's just
dude.
like,
he helps me out, dude.
He's just an awesome guy, and he always just wants to help out people, and so I feel like I'm a better person having someone like Mikey in my life.
Yeah, I think it's a cool story, like how you were talking about when Korn played their album from start to finish. I was at the show and you were at the show, but none of us knew each other.
Yeah, it's
I don't even know if you knew Mikey then.
No, I didn't. It's funny because like he was like crowd walking, and I was watching Islander, who I've never even heard of before, and I'm like taking photos with this dude who would be like one of my best friends in 2 years.
Yeah,
so it's funny how life works that way.
It is, man. So at working with DDP Yoga, you also do like documentaries and stuff, man. How did you you got a bunch coming out. You have a Fozzy one and Alicia Dove from Cherry Bombs who's been on the show. Yeah,
so I'm working on 4 right now. I'm doing Fozzy Across America, that one's pretty much done. We're just kind of waiting for the right time to put it out. And that's about how Fozzy played a show in Fort Myers, Florida, El Paso, Texas, and Las Vegas in one day. And it was like the most exhausting day ever.
I bet.
So it was really fun. Like, I just remember when they're playing the last show in Vegas, and I'm just like so exhausted, barely can keep my eyes open. I'm just like, what time do we have to fly to New York tomorrow? And they're like, oh, about an hour. And I'm just like, oh okay. Gosh. So then I actually missed the bus call because I accidentally fell asleep for 20 minutes. And then Rich is just like, where's Nathan? So I had to like run to get to the bus, and I barely made it. So, but it was a crazy kind of thing to
Who
kind
comes
of
up
pull
with
off.
these concepts? Like, did Rich or I mean, who
I
calls
think
you
it
and tells
was-
you this?
Yeah, I think it was a Jericho and a Mark Willis thing. Like,
Wow.
so it was just a crazy kind of day. So yeah, I was just so tired. I'm like getting tired thinking about that day. It was funny. Like when we got on the plane, like Rich is like, "Hey, just take this bag and it can be like your carry-on."
Yeah.
He's like, "Just put it on your overhead bin." And I was just so shot and tired. I was just like, "What do you mean? Like, how do I do that?" And Rich is like the nicest guy ever. He's just like, "You just kind of put it up there." I don't know. I don't know how to explain to you how to put something in the overhead bin. So yeah, so that was fun. So there's that one.
And you got Alicia Dove too,
yeah,
right?
and so I'm doing this documentary called Girl Gang, which is about the cherry bombs. And so the cherry bombs are just phenomenal. They're like some of my favorite people in the world, and their show is super cool. Like just anything to do with fire, I'm just all about. So, and I've known her for a while. She was in the Judas video, and I met her there, and then we just like hit it off.
She was also in Painless too, right?
Yeah, and she came back for the Painless video as well. So
Super
she,
cool.
so she like was like, "Hey, I want to do like a documentary where like we want to kind of do a story about us trying to get management and get this big break." And so they had like this opportunity to do this like big showcase for this big manager. And so it was kind of just revolving around that big show and them getting prepared for that, and then also the history of the cherry bombs and everything leading up to that crazy.
I can't wait for that to come out, man. That's gonna be really cool. And also, like, when you're working with DDP Yoga, how do you fit time to do all this stuff? I mean, you're so busy. It's like, it seems like 7 days a week.
It is 7 days a week. I never rest. When I get home from DDP Yoga, I just work on my Kind Punk projects and all my documentaries and everything. Like, it's funny, my roommate's like, "Hey, you're going to get some rest this weekend." I'm like, nope, I don't think rest is something that I'm really good at. Like, I work most of my time. So
Yeah. And then, so another huge thing is we have Southern Honor Wrestling. So that is massive. I love it, man. I bring my son to it. I encourage people to bring their kids to it. It's amazing, dude. In Canton, Georgia. How did this form, Southern Honor Wrestling?
Man, so it's crazy. Like I said, just huge into wrestling, and there's a guy named Dylan Freimeyer. He also works at DDP Yoga. He's one of my closest friends. He's also an editor for me in Kind Punk. He edits the show as well. Also a wrestler. He's also just somebody that does a million different things, wearing a million different hats. And he used to book a show in Pennsylvania, and he was just like, "Man, we really want to do a show like here in Georgia because we felt like the Georgia wrestling scene wasn't that good." And we're just like, "Yo, we can do something better than what's kind of being presented now." And so we met Gary Lamb, who is a pastor like in Canton, Georgia, and he's just really good at promoting events. So with my knowledge of production in wrestling and storytelling, meeting Dylan's like booking skills and his knowledge of pro wrestling, and then Gary's like ability to have like a building, and it's the same building that we shot 2 of the Fozzy videos in.
Oh, yeah.
And
And Rich is running sound.
and Rich is running sound, so it's just a cool full circle. So I met Gary through Rich. And so Rich kind of put us all together, and then we started doing this monthly show called Southern Honor Wrestling, and it's blew up really quick.
How many matches have you had in 7 months? Is that seven
Yeah,
matches?
I think we probably do about, I don't know, maybe like 8 matches a show. So it's probably about, we've had 7 shows, I think, if my math is right. So
I love it because you can have music there too, man. You have
Yeah.
like bands. Who played there? Like when I went there, there was
yeah,
a
we
band
had
playing there.
we had a band called the Funeral Portrait. It's another
cool.
band that I work with, and I love like their band. They're super cool. And we were just like hanging around one day, and Homer, the drummer, would be like, "Yo, wouldn't it be hilarious if I got powerbombed through a table?" And I was like, "I will write that in somehow. We'll make it happen." And then sure enough, Funeral Portrait played our show. And then we had like the New Era, who's like our big evil like faction bad guys. They like came out and they beat everybody up, and they interrupted the song, and they just powerbombed Homer through a table. And it was the funniest thing in the world to me, and I was trying not to laugh.
Seriously, like it really is. Wasn't he playing drums when they kind of interrupted the whole thing?
Yeah.
And it's like, here we go.
Oh yeah, it was
And
crazy.
you got slammed too. Like talk about that. You're filming and you get slammed.
Yeah, it was funny. Like the week before, like I was out on tour, and Dylan texted me. He's like, "Hey, do you want to be speared through a table?" And I was just like, "Yeah, that sounds awesome." And
so
so I was
random.
just like so pumped about this. And I remember like the day of, I was just asking Dylan. I was like, "So how does this work? Do you guys kind of like pre-break the table, or?" He's like, "Nah, man, I just got to hit you really hard. So just tuck your chin and hope you don't get crippled." And I'm like, "All right."
Hope you don't get crippled.
Yeah, so I was like waiting for my spot, and he just hit me so hard, but he protected me really good. But it was just like, Like, I'm just a wrestling fanboy, so going through a table, I was just laying there, just like, yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, I woke up, my phone, I was like, oh my God.
Nathan's dead.
Yeah, Nathan's dead.
Yeah, it was like, oh my God, it was so fun. I even got a chant, like that was good. I got a Let's Go Nathan chant, so that was fun.
That's cool, man. So I love like the whole Kind Punk thing. When did Kind Punk start? I mean, this is a company, or is this like, talk about Kind Punk.
Yeah, so Kind Punk basically started right after the success of the Judas video.
Yeah.
And I've always done videos. I've done videos ever since I was like 6 years old, but I've never had like a brand. I've never had like a name, and I kind of wanted to create something, just an umbrella for everything to fall under. And I'm a big believer of DIY punk ethics, and I'm also a big believer in Southern hospitality, and I wanted to kind of create something that incorporated both those things, while also creating an environment of just a lot of fun while making videos. Because I think a lot of times when people make art or videos or music, they think about when they were a kid and they were just doing that with their friends. But then somewhere along the way, when they get older and they get so far into this industry, they lose like a lot of the appeal and the fun, and it can become just, you know, a soul-sucking thing. And I never want that.
That's so
So I
interesting,
kind of
yeah.
wanted to create an environment. And I also believe that there's a lot of people in, you know, the filmmaking industry that are just not fun to work with, and they just make you feel miserable. So I wanted to promote a brand of kindness, because I think kindness is rebellion, and I think that's a revolt against like how a lot of the world is now, because I feel like the world's very cynical. So I wanted to encourage and instill positivity while still being punk rock at the same time.
Dude, that's so awesome, man. Very inspiring, man. When growing up, were you like into film industry? Like, where did you get that passion from?
Man, it's funny, like me and my buddy Robert Peak, who's my roommate right now, which is funny. Like when we were kids, we would take like our mom's VHS cameras when we were 5 or 6 and just film skits.
Really?
And then we just never stopped. So
yeah.
So now like it's funny because we were shooting something like yesterday together. And I was like, it's funny that we were shooting together when we were 5, and now we're shooting stuff in our like late 20s, you know.
Did you guys do it like Jackass style? Where
No,
like,
we totally did that. That was kind of like what, in a weird way, that's like a thing that made filmmaking seem like a reality to me. Because I remember, I'm like a huge fan of Spike Jonze. He's one of my favorite directors, and I loved his music videos because they were just a good blend of raw meets like polish, and like I just loved his whole look and style. And then I realized he like worked on like the Jackass movies and stuff, and I was just like, oh, this is kind of the stuff I do with my friends. Like, if he can make a whole career like out of this kind of thing, then what's stopping me from doing that, you know? So, and it's just been a really huge blessing, like that. Like I always say, like when I was a kid, all I cared about was making videos, listening to music, and watching pro wrestling. And now that I'm like 27 years old, I still do those things, but for some reason someone gives me a check for it, and I feel like I'm getting away with murder. You know, it's like
that's great,
such
dude.
an amazing thing, and I'm so happy.
It's amazing, dude. I love like following your passion like that. That's very, that's awesome, man. I love it.
Yeah, it's been insane. It's been a crazy ride. And
Real fast, like since we got you on camera, I want to talk about like how you on Fozzy caught yourself on fire.
So like we were
I
trying
love
to
the story.
Yeah, so we were trying to think of some cool ideas for the Judas video and just random things. I wrote like a bunch of stuff. Like I was like, what do you think of this? I had like this huge list for Jericho. Like, what do you think about this? At one point I wanted a naked man with a push mower to walk across. He's like, no, don't do that. And so I was just like, well, I can light myself on fire. And he's like, okay, let's do that. And I remember him just being like, does Dallas know that you're gonna be on fire at his studio? I was like, he won't care or no.
Cool.
Yeah. And so I had my brother like do this part. So it's weird because it was a one-take video. So I was like orchestrating. I was like, all right, clowns go in now. Like, all right, and like just doing this. And then I would put this jacket on. My brother would spray me with the fluid that I use. He lit me on fire, and then I walked across the camera. And when we reviewed the first take, I was just like, fire's not big enough. It looks pretty lame, dude. I was like, I need you to get borderline homicidal with this fire. And he's just like, all right. But what I didn't know is like from the first like fire that there was like a hole in my jacket.
Yeah.
So when my brother sprayed, like I got all in my sleeve, but then it went down my arm. And so I had that liquid on my arm. And so, like, as soon as like it was my cue, I went, he lit me on fire, and I was instantly burning. And I was like, this is not good. So I just like run across really fast. And if you look at the video, you can see me run across a little bit quicker than the first time. So yeah, it kind of burnt my arm a little bit. And then I had to just throw my jacket off and just continue like orchestrating like all the madness. So, but yeah, I'm really proud of that video, and I think it was the video that really kind of kick-started like everything. So
yeah, man, I can't wait to see like you do more videos with Fozzy. I mean, these millions of views is just insane. Like, I mean, I've never heard anything like that before. It's unreal. So
Yeah, I
it's gonna
never
feel
would have
great.
thought that like
Yeah.
Judas or any of these videos would have
Yeah.
like those kind of views or anything that I do, you know, especially with like, yeah, I don't know. It's been just insane.
But man, I appreciate you being on the show, and I appreciate you doing the show.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
this is great. The Good Company is like just a passion project of mine, and you came in about 10 episodes deep, and dude, it just means a lot, man.
Yeah,
So I appreciate
absolutely.
it, dude.
Man, I absolutely
Every
love being
episode
on it.
gets better because you guys. I'm like, I gotta step up my game. Like, you guys are better than me. Like, it's just, I love what you guys are doing, man.
Yeah.
What's up with the future? You got what's going on with that?
Man, I just want to. I kind of just want to grow my Kind Punk brand like more, and I'm about to buy like a house, and I want to like move in people who want to quit their jobs that they hate in order to pursue the art. Because I believe that you can really accomplish anything if you really just put the work in. And
Yeah.
if someone believes in you, like I had this guy named Isaac Dietz who believed in me, and he gave me an opportunity to pursue film when I moved to Atlanta when I was 19. And if it wasn't for him, then I wouldn't have had all the stuff that I get to do now. So I want to do that for somebody else.
Yeah, that's
And
really cool.
So kind of like a pay it forward thing. So I
Yeah.
want to grow Kind Punk bigger in that way of like trying to help other people and just also just make, you know, bigger and more fun music videos and just have a lot of fun.
Dude, man, that's so cool, man. I love the positivity. That's really awesome, man.
And thank you. Yeah.
Dude, well, I appreciate this. Nathan Mowery. Good
Yeah.
company.
Dude, it's been fun, man.
Appreciate
I
it,
love
brother.
like the show. So
Me
thank
too,
you.
man. Thank you, brother.
Absolutely.